to Side Crisis Super Nintendo Edition. I'm here playing my favorite games on my favorite video game system of all time. It's one that you all know about. Look, trust me when I tell you, I'm going to get weird with this stuff. I've got weird taste. So this is one of the mainstream examples that I'm into. And why wouldn't you be? Super Nintendo is just fucking perfect in every way, shape, and form. I don't know if I told this story yet in any of these side crises, but I'll do it now because it's a fun one. How I got my Super Nintendo, my first one as a kid. So one day I was in my parents' bedroom, hanging out on the big bed as you do. Middle of the day, my parents didn't really give a shit if we hung out in there. My sister and I, sometimes you go in there, you watch TV, what have you. We would get the boot at nighttime because that's the right thing to do. But it was kind of an open door policy for the middle of the day. So anyway, I'm sitting there, just minding my P's and Q's, probably watching Ninja Turtles on the TV, whatever it was. And the closet door is open. And I look up, and in all of its fucking glory was a Super Nintendo box, the 2 controllers, Super Mario World Edition, the original, just sitting there teasing me. And so this was in 1992. Super Nintendo was already out for a little while. This, I believe, was supposed to be a birthday present for me. My birthday's in March. This was not in March. This is several months before my birthday. And my parents fucked up in that they did not hide this thing very well. And then on top of that, they left the door open so that anyone could see it. And by anyone, I mean me, the person that the gift was intended for. So I basically immediately confronted my mom, being like, hey, there's a Super Nintendo in your closet, and I'm going to safely assume that's for me. And she initially hesitated, as if it was my fault that her closet door was open. But then she kind of realized that she fucked up. And because I legitimately wasn't snooping. I would certainly snoop for Christmas presents later on, with an almost methodical, sociopathic approach to it, which I'll save that story for another day. But this one was not that. This wasn't sneaking around with my sister trying to find gifts. This was the gift that found me. And so my mom kind of acquiesced, like she knew she fucked up, and allowed me to open that bad boy, plug it in, and immediately start getting cracked up on Super Nintendo. So it was cool. It was an early birthday present, and I'm grateful that I have that memory of my parents being lazy and screwing up and spoiling that birthday surprise. So anyway, that's that. Super Mario World is a quick mention here. Oh, by the way, I did want to do this. Has anyone ever worn these stupid bucket hats like this? Almost like a Desi Arnaz type of a deal. Look at that. God, I just look like a fucking idiot. Yeah, let's keep it. Let's keep this for a while. Let's check in and get a little bit of feedback. Corey, what do you think? How do I look?
You know what? It's time for me to go home. This is enough. I've had enough.
Oh, okay. Well, don't hold back, I guess. What if I told you that I think your frosted tips are stupid?
Easy there, compadre. After all the shit that you pulled?
Oh, all right. I guess I'll just put this on normal like that. And let's go Chumbawamba. Bam. Booyah. Tub thumping. Know what I'm talking about? So, speaking of tub thumping, we're going to play a semi-divisive one, I think. Because I've seen a lot of online discussion about this particular game. I think there are 2 camps. I think there is those of us who were at the right age at the right time, and we love this game. This particular game in a series. And I think there's the other camp that maybe was a little older and think that this game is kind of more superficial. It's more sizzle than substance, as it were. So, of course, I'm talking about Donkey Kong Country. I fucking love the original Donkey Kong Country. I think it holds up today. But I say that as someone who I'm kind of into the pre-rendered sprite look. Games like Killer Instinct, this game, so many others. Ragnagard for the Neo Geo, if you want a deep cut. I think that it was like a hack. It was like a workaround, right? So the idea was that 3D graphics, polygonal graphics were all the rage, but the hardware at home wasn't capable enough to render it in real time. So what you would do is you'd get these like insanely expensive SGI machines that help make Jurassic Park, and you would pre-render these and put them in your game as just sprites. And so it was like a mixture of the cutting edge of what would be down the road a few years with polygonal graphics, but in the technology of the now. And to me, why I like the look of it so much is it reminds me a lot of like stop motion animation. There's like a polystyrene clay look, a toyetic look, if you would rather use that stupid terminology. But like they're very overly shiny because lighting in CGI wasn't very good. So they look like moving toys a lot of the times, and I personally dig that. On the other side of that fence, people think the look is tacky and it is aged poorly, which, if you feel that way, look. Why don't you put on your own stupid shirt and dumb hat and set up lights and cameras and talk about Donkey Kong Country in a different context? Until you do that, I'll do my version. Me and my good friend Corey.
We invented Hamster and Foul Dog, and it just globally went around the world, and that's how we were known.
Fucking talk to him, Corey. Anyway, so Donkey Kong Country. I've got my trusty ASCII pad here. Make sure all my turbos are turned down. And let's just get right into it, do a playthrough. We're going to go as far as we can go. This is one of those games that I've played thousands of times. Every port available I've played. But the Super Nintendo one is the main business. So let's do that. I'm right here, and let's get going. So I have a save here, because I did have to replace the battery on this one, so I don't have 101. So that percentage right there is like the main goal of the game, and you achieve that by finding hidden stages and beating normal stages. That number you can get to 101. That's if you get 101%, that means you've done everything you can do. Let's just start at the beginning. So these are the three modes: 1-player, 2-player contest, 2-player team. You know, to be honest with you, I have never played 2-player contest. It's just not something that ever interests me. I've played 2-player team. I've played 1-player. I've played the fucking shit out of 1-player. But 2-player contest never really interested me much at all. So we'll go 1-player because that's who I am. I'm 1-player. And we'll get right into this. So gameplay-wise, we talked a little bit about the aesthetic, the look. The reason why I come back to this game again and again and again is I think the platforming is very pure. Some people don't like the momentum of Donkey Kong as he runs, and the fact that you kind of have to almost push forward. That roll is so important on a lot of the jumps. Like you have to roll and like last minute jump off of a ledge. I really dig that. I think it feels good. I think so. There's 3 of these games on Super Nintendo. Oh, I did not mean to do that. This is where my nanners were, and those goddamn lizards took my nanners. That's what the game's about. Donkey Kong was burglarized, and we are going to right the wrongs, Charles Bronson style. Oops. Well, this is off to a bad start. Anyway, I was saying there's 3 Donkey Kong Country games on Super Nintendo. The last one came out in 1996. It was a late release one. I rented that one. I rented 2. Never owned either one of those. I owned this one, and this was the one that I played the most. I think it's the one that's held up the best. There's a school of thought that says that Part 2 is the best in the series, and I never understood why. I played Part 2. I beat it. It's fine. It's great. But to me, it's like if I'm going to play Donkey Kong Country, I want Donkey Kong in the goddamn game. And the fact that the other 2 games got rid of the star of the game, it never sat well with me. I didn't like it. And this was, okay, maybe we should talk a little bit about where Super Nintendo was before the launch of this game. They were getting their asses kicked by Sega. The American wing of Sega marketing was so effective at selling what they had to sell, and they knew their audience, which was like preteen boys, teen boys. So that it was a little edgier, a little more attitude. Sonic the character had some tude that obviously Mario didn't and would never have. So there was that. I think Nintendo, when they linked up with Rare to make this game, that was like a mission statement, and that was done in their marketing. So the answer to the Welcome to the Next Level campaign was Super Nintendo's Play It Loud. And you would see commercials, which you can look up on YouTube, of like, some hard edge alternative rock band playing some loud aggressive loud aggressive music with gameplay and quick camera moves and weird lighting and Dutch angles and all this edgy 90s shit. And I remember the first time seeing this game was in the first Play It Loud commercial. It was aired during, my time of worship, aka WWF Superstars, on a Saturday morning, and showed Mortal Kombat 2, it showed Stunt Race FX, and it showed this game. And of all those games, this was the game that stood out to me because of the graphics. It was like, what the fuck? It looks insane how good the graphics were. And then there was a separate Play It Loud Donkey Kong Country ad campaign. And then the game came out. It was the big Christmas game of 1994. I remember all the magazines had Donkey Kong Country on the cover. Big multi-page stories talking all about the SGI systems and how cutting edge the technology was and all that good stuff. So the hype for this game for me was just through the roof. Most excited that I can remember being for the release of a video game at that time in my life as a 10-year-old on the way to being 11. And I got this game for that Christmas, and man did it deliver. Let's talk to Cranky real quick. Oh boy, he's got such a bad attitude. So Cranky Kong is supposed to be Donkey Kong from the arcade game. And Donkey Kong, our main character with the tie, is supposed to be Donkey Kong Jr., although he looks very different. And what's funny is you go back to the original Mario Kart, and there's a Donkey Kong in that. That's Donkey Kong Jr., and he's wearing the t-shirt and all that stuff. And that's the last time you would see that Donkey Kong in any Mario Kart game, because that character kind of got retconned for this one. This version, the Rare version of Donkey Kong, is who we have seen as Donkey Kong for now 30 years. Even in the Mario Brothers movie that came out a couple years ago, that Donkey Kong is the Donkey Kong of country fame. Okay, so going back to the gameplay, as you see me bust through some walls, you see me go into these barrels. This is the main hook of the game, finding hidden bonus areas. I mentioned earlier about that percentage thing. Some of the levels or some of the bonus areas in the levels are very deviously hidden. Like the only way you would know about them is word of mouth, cheat via video game magazines at the time, or just happening to fall and die in the exact same area. And another thing too is certain TVs had a wider bezel, and they would hide some of the barrels, the blast barrels, especially at the bottom of the screen. That was my case. So playing through this game, I would cheat and look at guides and Nintendo Power to try to find all the hidden rooms, and they would show pictures of a screenshot and show the barrel at the bottom of the screen, and I would just be confused because my TV didn't display it that way. And those old TVs, you weren't able to mess with horizontal or vertical scaling or cropping unless you were a TV maintenance guy and you had access to the operators menus and stuff. Which if you've never done that, if you are a sicky retro game enthusiast like I am, you obviously have at least one CRT television. I recommend looking up your make and model TV's operator menu. Usually you can access it through a button combination on a remote. It's fascinating, all the stuff that you can do. Now, be warned, you can absolutely destroy your TV messing with those settings. You can misalign the shadow mask and ruin the picture permanently. But if you take your time and actually research what it is that you're doing, there's all kinds of things that you can correct. So I have a late model. It's like a 2005 Samsung CRT. And it was always a little cattywampus. And I don't know why. Like maybe it was like it was damaged in moves or whatever it was. But the screen was like a couple degrees tilted one way. So a little askew. I looked up my TV's operator menu and I was able to fix that. And so now the alignment of the image is perfect. And that's something that you would have to pay a professional, hundreds of dollars to come to your house and access this stupid thing with your remote, because that's just how it worked. Oh, I just realized I don't have any sound on for this song. Let's turn it on. This music. Jiminy Christmas. Let's get it. Turn that up. I love this song. I should have had the music up the whole time. I deeply apologize, gang. Soundtrack is done by, I want to say his name is Neil Gaiman, Gaiman. That might be wrong. Anyway, I love the music in this game. And this song in particular is probably my favorite. I think I said earlier on the Chrono Trigger side Crisis that I'm not a big video game soundtrack guy, in that like I don't like to spend money on them. If you gave me the opportunity to buy this soundtrack on vinyl, buddy, I'm doing it. That's a guarantee. All right, let me turn that down just a bit. Just a bit. So here's Funky Flights. We haven't accessed it yet, but you can move around world to world with him. That's what he's all about here. Funky recently made a return in some of the newer Donkey Kong games. There's the Switch port of Tropical Freeze, and Funky was made a playable character for the first time in that. And he's like an easy mode type of a character, which in that game, like, it's a brutally difficult game. So having Funky Kong to help you get past like more annoying stages is, I think a good decision. Especially for kids, like these games, for as much as a man-child in a stupid hat and a stupid shirt would love this game, children love these games too. So having an easy mode added in, because the Wii U version did not have an easy mode. The game is just brutally hard. Just full stop, really difficult. And I think that was a big criticism of that one, and Nintendo addressed it. This game had if you'd never played it before, I would say it's like a medium challenging game. But I have this thing so memorized that, like stuff like this with the bees and the barrels, like a lot of deaths had to occur for me to have a full understanding of exactly when to push the button and how the barrels work. All right, here we go. Time it just right. Just right. There we go. Get up there. Little secrets. Oh no, I want that. Yeah, when you spell out Kong, there's all those letters hidden throughout the stage. You get a free man. Here's Candy Kong. This is Donkey Kong's tall, svelte model girlfriend. Look at her. She's like, now granted, Donkey Kong is not known for his great posture. But I would argue that Candy Kong has like a full foot on him, even if he was standing tall. All right, first boss fight. So the boss fights in this game, that's one area where it is a little, they're not the best. They're really easy, and you fight. It's like the same 3 guys recycled. So like the only thing that changes is like the pattern. So you fight a different colored beaver in a few stages ahead, and like he jumps a little higher. There's like a big dumb bird that throws like giant walnuts at you. So that's one area of the game where it's a little lackluster. I think some of the later Donkey Kong countries had better boss fights and more variety in the boss fights. So these stages I really love the look of. I love how they play with the lighting. So look at this. See the blue lighting on the sprites. Now I'm going to nerd out here for just a little bit. So that blue lighting, which as you can see on Donkey Kong here, that's transparent colored lighting. You cannot do that on a Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn didn't have what's called alpha meshing, it had alpha meshing, it didn't have transparencies. So like the way that they would have things so that you could see through was literally just clear dots. So it would have this dithered look, which is like, Sega, what are you doing? Like it's just crazy to me. But yeah, Super Nintendo could do transparent colored lighting, and it looks great. Like you can see right there, Donkey Kong gets a tint of blue when he's hitting that light. Whoa! I've never been a big fan of the frog. I hate how he controls because he does these jumps and it's like you feel like he's gonna fall off all the time, fall off a platform. A lot of times he does. He's cool in that you can kill the goddamn bees with him. That's handy. Other than that, though, he is my least favorite of the ride-along animal friends that Donkey Kong has in this game. I'm a big fan of the rhino. Ostrich is all right, kinda. I mean, he does like a Yoshi flutter type of a deal that help. Sometimes you have to have the ostrich in order to get to the bonus stuff in certain levels. Okay, so here's a minecart level. Infamous, right? In Donkey Kong Country, people hate these things. I think minecart levels in general became a thing because of this game and how popular it was. I love these things. I think that it's almost like a Demon Souls type thing. Like they're punishing, they demand that you memorize stuff. They are fast and furious, and pun very much intended there. But I think they're great. I love how responsive the control is on these. When you jump like there's no delay whatsoever. Again, I have the advantage of having them like completely memorized because again, playing this game for 30 years. So if you've never played them at all, your mileage may vary. A lot of people get frustrated by them. That's a fact. And I would say I'm probably in the minority of people who actually like these levels. But I also like that Battletoads jet ski level. Same reason. I just feel really good when I do well. I had to die a whole lot in order to get very good, just like these levels. But yeah, I like the immediate sense of accomplishment. And I've lost to Donkey Kong, but we've won the day. We've won the day with our good pal Diddy, who I haven't mentioned once because why? Why do I need to talk about stupid ass Diddy? I don't care about Diddy. Diddy is a vehicle to get me to more Donkey Kong. That's what Diddy is. Diddy is just basically a bar on my HP. That's what Diddy is to me. And now I'm back. Immediately switch back to Donkey Kong. There's a hidden level down there, but we skipped it. Because fuck it. Yeah, I'm just kind of breezing by. Donkey Kong Country is one of those games where I can really play this thing with my eyes closed. So I have no issues talking. And you know what? To be honest, neither does Corey.
I had a blast with Corey.
I can play Donkey Kong and have Corey say all kinds of stuff.
We invented Hamster and Fell Dog, and it just globally went around the world, and that's how we were known. The motto of, the two Corys are Corey and Corey, or Hamster and Fell Dog.
You know what? Real talk, I've never heard Hamster and Fell Dog.
Go solo for a while. I need to fly alone.
Well, yeah, you're the hamster.
My man, Three's Company, Jack Tripper, Furley.
Trying to get to be the
This
older
is so much
brother
fun.
or the only brother.
It's like I'm playing Donkey Kong Country with Corey Haim. He's in the room with me.
Easy there, compadre. After all the shit that you pulled, I think you can at least hear me out. I mean, I feel like you owe me that.
I want my wife back!
Oh.
That's what I want!
Perfect timing there, Corey. He just wanted his life back. Okay, let's let's do this. I think we're at a good spot. We're at a good deal here. That's Donkey Kong Country, folks. What are the big takeaways here? So I think the game is great. I think the graphics, for me, have held up very well. A lot of other people think that the pre-rendered look is dated. Whatever. Hakuna Matata, as they say. I think the most important thing about Donkey Kong Country is that it was this like marketing parachute for Nintendo. Who knows? If Donkey Kong Country is never a thing, the way things were looking, Sega, and now Sega would Sega themselves up. Like that's, and Nintendo had no control over how just insanely mismanaged Sega would become. But in this period of time, 93, 94, they're doing gangbusters. So if Donkey Kong Country was never a thing, who knows? Like Sega could have continued to dominate. It may have changed decisions with Nintendo going forward. It's one of those like an N64 cartridge type thing where it was a really important moment in their history. And it worked because Donkey Kong Country was the best-selling game of that year. The fortunes of the Super Nintendo immediately changed. So going after that, the end of 94, Nintendo is back on top, and then they would continue to dominate for the rest of that generation, whereas Genesis hit a plateau at first and then started to slide down. And then the Saturn really is what, the 32X is really what jammed up Sega. And then after that, many more jammings would occur. But anyway, I think Donkey Kong Country is easily one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I love it. I play it all the time, still to this day, and will continue to play it. It's just a good time all the way around. So I'm going to come back. I got probably going to do one more of these Super Nintendo guys on Side Crisis here. And then who knows? Maybe offer a comment. I own a lot of these systems. So if you want me to talk about a specific system, throw me a pitch. The only thing I don't have is a Philips CDI. And I don't have a 3DO. I have owned and sold 2 3DOs. And I'm not going to get a third one because there's just no purpose. There's no purpose in owning 3DO, as it turns out. CDI is like it's the last area for me to explore. And I know that there's not much to explore there because a lot of the games are really bad. But I still have, there's a sick curiosity there. So anyway, should I do Jaguar next? Should I do Neo Geo, PC Engine / TurboGrafx 16? You tell me, Jack. But we're gonna do some more, and that's gonna be that. So like, subscribe, listen to us on the Spotify. Thank you so much for joining us here on another Side Crisis. And let's get the final word from the hamster. What do we think here?
You know what? It's time for me to go home. This is enough. I've had enough.
He's had enough.